Good afternoon, traders, and welcome to the Blue Line Metals Edge here for Monday, August 1st. I'm Phillip Streible, Chief Market Strategist at Blue Line Futures. Looking at the markets here today, we've got metals higher, equities are mixed, you've got energies big time lower, agricultural markets selling off pretty hard. A couple new movements here, a couple new news stories that have come out, and that's really the reason for a lot of this volatility here. We had a big FOMO action last week in the markets. We saw all the risk on. It was really a carryover from that Fed announcement, the 75 basis points, and also Jay Powell's very dovish post commentary. If you're checking this out on YouTube or listening to the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. Drop a comment in there. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe there's a market that we're not covering. We could easily incorporate that into some of these videos. Also, if you haven't taken a look at, you could sign up for our research. It's actionable. It gives you, it's your buy, your sell levels, a lot of deep details on some of the markets here. You get a free 2-week trial. It's something that we give to our clients that go out to them every single day. Looking at a couple of the markets here and a couple of the reports that we have. One of them is the Morning Express. That's our flagship report. Covers your stock indices, your metals, and also your energies. Gave you a couple good bullet points here today on it. And really, the things that I was watching here is you had this ISM January came out 9 a.m. You also had a couple of other economic reports. And then the other thing you wanted to look at and really take away from this report here today was the pivot and balance aligns with the momentum indicator. You got continued action above this level. 1781 to 1783 and a half basically in 2020 on the silver market. If we got to get above there, and that'll feed into that bullish narrative. Looking at the FX rundown, that's another report. That one is going to give you pinpoint levels here that they're buying and selling, uses stop close only on everything. But it went long the British pound here today. On the Canadian dollar, it's down on the Canadian dollar. It got short on June 14th. Most likely won't be in that position too much longer. Another position that kicked off on is the euro. If you're in the euro and in this trade, you really want to protect some of those profits as that market's been turning higher. You look at the yen, that's a new position that came out on Friday. It went long, nicely ahead on that. Also, Swiss franc is another one that it went long on Friday as well. So if you like these kind of buy and sell signals, we're also going to put this together for some of the metals markets, specifically gold and silver at first, then see how they go. Looking at futures performance here, we do year to date. Natural gas, obviously the best market out there. Some of the ones on the bottom that I'm looking at, big turnarounds here in the last week in the NASDAQ. If you go like month to date or over the last month, you look, NASDAQ gained 12%. That helped out a lot of those fund managers. You got the FOMO crowd back. They were buying quite a bit of those stocks. And then also, your CTAs are going to chase as well, and your quants. So silver positive on the month, which is a great thing. Big turnaround in the metals. So getting back over there, looking at the metals specifically. So on silver, we could punch through. This is the 50-day moving average, and it's real close. Comes in at 20.58. We punch through there, we're probably going to go back into this level, this 22.50, and that was such key levels of support from back, way back when and throughout the last year or two. We had those run-ups here. That was the March run-up with Ukraine and Russia. Another run-up here that occurred. We had a bit of change in economic data and a change in stance in the Fed. And then since then, this was a rough ride. This was really rough for a lot of people. It was down like 17 straight days. Looked like we were basing out. Another sell-off here. I think the washout has basically been complete in the precious metal, especially if Jay Powell ends up being that dub wearing hawkish clothing, and he really pivots and he gets quite dovish out there. So looking at interest rate hikes going forward, I think you might have a 50 basis point 225s pause over in November. And then you get into the early next year, they end up cutting because of that weak profit forecast, the lack of liquidity that's out there. Growth is going to slow exponentially, and also the profit cycle is going to contract as well. So they'll have to pivot, I believe, and at that point, that's when it goes risk on, reflation, and it gets that kind of perfect scenario. So a couple other markets here. Look at gold. You got the D's gold 1790. The October gold's a little bit lower than that. The Here's this copper market. First kind of pullback we've seen off of this. Now copper has led us one way or the other, so hopefully this isn't an indicator that we're going to start to break down on copper, because chances are you could see silver track down with it. So be nimble, start to ratchet up some of those stop losses. Platinum, real nice move. Breakout to the upside, right back into that 50-day moving average. Nice if we can close over that. Probably get the 925 to 950. I'm going to look to step out there and re-enter a bit lower. Platinum tends to suck out $30 to $50 moves just out of nowhere. So a lot of automotive news, a lot of things like that. Very susceptible to movement in in China over there. So crude oil, big breakdown. We're starting to look at buying on some of the contracts. Remember, they got the 100, the 500, and the 1,000 barrel. We've been shying away from the 1,000, doing those 500, doing a couple of the 100 barrels. I think it's a very good tradable range in the market for you there. Nat gas, been a little bit too dicey. Caught the move back up. Now we're starting to break down again. No telling which way it could go. I think that's a lot, very politically charged. We saw those first exports coming out of Ukraine. Look at that massive sell-off of the grain markets here today. So weather will probably come back in the picture, but till then you're going to want to be a little bit cautious. Use some stops there. Check out Ollie's videos and also Grain Express. That'll help you out as well. Getting into those... Getting into the currencies, which has really been driving this, it's this dollar weakness and this dollar sell-off that has helped fuel a lot of this rally. So we'll see if the dollar will bounce off the 50-day as well, 104.77.5. And then looking out into the week, you got a couple things. The thing that I'm noticing now is that the bad news on the economic data has been good news for the market, and this has just been recent as of last week, because Powell did acknowledge that if any problems occur with the economy, that they're going to take this one meeting at a time. They just basically came out and said they're going to be really dovish. So keep an eye on all these data that's coming out, these data points. If you see these things where you got a previous PMI and it comes out weaker than expected, or you start getting some of these other things start breaking down, you get a weaker jobs number, stuff like that, you're going to see the Fed come out and be cautious. So that'll give another initial boost here, most likely to the metals, as well as your stock indices, and mainly that NASDAQ. So shorten those, keep an eye on it, and if you need anything, let us know. Futures and option trading does involve risk of loss, may not be suitable to all investors. Register for our research reports. Take a look at those and let us know what you think. Good luck, good trading.